Order. We start with questions to the Minister for the Cabinet Office, Jayne Kirkham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Question number 1.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, I was pleased to meet with the honourable member when I visited Cornwall last week and to meet local leaders and first responders who've been working tirelessly to keep their communities safe. In response to Storm Goretti, the government issued 2 emergency alerts, reaching approximately 500,000 people, urging them to stay indoors due to the severe weather. The Resilience Action Plan outlines how we will strengthen local resilience, including better integrating voluntary, community and faith organisations into emergency planning.
Jayne Kirkham.
Thank you, Mr Speaker, and I thank the Minister for his answer. Storm Goretti was a wake-up call for Cornwall and nationally. It tested the resilience of rural and coastal Britain to these extreme weather events. In Cornwall alone, we lost over 1,000 trees and thousands of people were left without power and water. It did expose vulnerabilities, particularly in our communications in rural areas, where mobile and internet connectivity is fragile, hard to restore and not backed up. Would the Minister lead discussions with DSIC colleagues on how to shore up communications in these circumstances and consider within his own department how to advise and make individuals and communities more resilient generally in the face of increasing storms?
Minister.
Mr Speaker, yes, she's right, and I will do that. And the Honourable Lady knows firsthand the importance of hyper-local resilience planning, and I pay tribute to her work supporting her constituents in recent times. The gov.uk Prepare website already provides advice on steps people can take to prepare for emergencies, including storms and power outages, including some of the points that she raises. However, I've heard and understood the points that she's raised both today and previously, and I will give them very careful attention.
David Mundell.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. As I've said many times, I represent one of the largest rural constituencies in the United Kingdom, and Eskdalemuir is one of the most rural parts of that constituency. Constituents there remain extremely concerned about BT's proposals to switch off analogue lines when it's an area that has very poor mobile reception and frequent power cuts. So will the Minister and the Cabinet Office more generally satisfy themselves that the arrangements in place for this switch-off will not impede resilience and will ensure communities like Eskdalemuir are not cut off during extreme weather events?
Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful to him for the important points that he raises. I completely understand and agree with the points around rurality. I've heard the points that he's made with regard to BT. I know that the department has been engaging closely with them, but I'll look carefully at what he's got to say and come back to him.
Julie Binns.
Mr Speaker, I recently met with representatives of Cumbria CVS and Cumbria Action for Communities to discuss community resilience in my constituency of Carlisle and North Cumbria. Now, one of the challenges we face in geographically remote areas like mine is the speed with which local authorities and other agencies are able to deploy staff to close floodgates and shut roads when we have an area affected by flooding. Can the Minister set out what steps the Government is taking to encourage statutory bodies to train and equip community emergency volunteers to carry out these vital tasks?
Minister.
Mr Speaker, I can do that, and I'm grateful to her for raising it. And I know that her constituency has suffered from significant flooding in the past. The Environment Agency, local risk management authorities and the Local Resilience Forum have worked hard to deliver new flood schemes and improve the warning and information to communities so that they are better prepared. The Government is considering both regulatory and non-regulatory options to integrate the vital work of the voluntary, community and faith sector and statutory emergency responders, and I'll be meeting with the Flooding Minister soon to discuss this further.
Andrew George.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm very grateful to the Minister for coming to Cornwall last week and visiting my constituency. It was noted and very much appreciated. He'll know that my constituency, West Cornwall and the Ives, took the brunt of Storm Goretti, and we have many lessons to learn, not least the point made earlier with regard to the evangelical, I think, faith in modern systems and technologies, which have made us more dependent and less resilient. So when we're learning lessons from this, will the Minister make sure that it's not simply left to local authorities to learn those lessons, but they're learnt across the UK?
Mr Speaker, I absolutely will, and I was very pleased to have the opportunity to spend quite a lot of time with the Honourable Gentleman in his beautiful constituency and to meet his local council colleagues as well as many other stakeholders. I agree with the points that he's making. I think overall the response was an effective one, but I am working with ministerial colleagues across government to ensure that we learn all of the lessons from Storm Goretti and I'm keen to work with him and other colleagues in this endeavour.
Perran.
Mr. Speaker. My constituency of Camborne, Redruth and Hale is 624th out of 650 constituencies for mobile resilience, mobile communications. It cannot be right that a constituency like this is exposed in the way that it was during Storm Goretti, meaning villages like Morne and Smith were completely cut off. Does the Minister agree that we need to be reviewing those constituencies where mobile communications are inadequate at the moment?
Well, I was very pleased to meet the Honourable Member at the Eden Project on Friday of last week, along with local leaders, to discuss these matters. I agree with the points that he has raised, and I give him an absolute commitment that we'll work closely with government colleagues, but as well as with local authorities and other stakeholders, to ensure where there are lessons that need to be learned from this storm, we will learn them.
Mr. Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I can tell the Minister that the promises that were made by telecoms companies about the withdrawal of copper landlines have not been kept. A recent power outage that covered both Caithness and Orkney left my constituents without any landline connectivity and no mobile connectivity because there was no power to the mobile masts. So, as well as talking to BT, will he speak to the mobile phone operators and find out why they are not doing what they promised they would do?
Yes, I will. I'm looking forward to meeting the right honourable gentleman soon to discuss these things. I think it is important to say that we work very closely both with mobile phone operators, but also with the National Grid electricity distribution to get over 900 engineers out and about reconnecting homes in the South West. But I've heard the points that he's raised, and I look forward to discussing them with him soon.
Matt Rodder.
Question number 2, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, that this government has negotiated associate membership of the Erasmus Plus programme from 2027. This could open up opportunities for over 100,000 young people from all backgrounds to learn, train, study or volunteer abroad. It's good news for FE colleges, good news for universities and businesses, and it's just one example of how this government is building a strong new relationship with the EU that's in our national interest.
Matt Rodder.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I thank the Minister for his answer and also warmly welcome the Government's new commitment to this scheme. This is hugely important to my residents in Reading, both for families and young people, but also for employers, for science, for technology. Could he say a little bit more about how this wonderful scheme will help employers and growth in the Thames Valley, and also how it will help our local university, Reading University, and the European Medium Range Weather Forecasting Centre?
Minister.
Can I thank him for that question? And I know it's been welcomed in many universities and in Reading, and I know he's campaigned for this for a long time. Of course, in my constituency, Sussex University was home to the first Erasmus student, and when I visited last week, they were delighted they will have more soon. I do want to point out, though, that this isn't just about universities. This is also about apprenticeships, it's about FE colleges, it's about youth workers, sports professionals. And it's huge opportunities for 100,000 people. Quite why the party opposite and Reform oppose that is beyond me.
Jim Shum. Sorry, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minister has mentioned apprenticeships. Would he agree with me that there may well be and should be opportunities, for example, for the future town funds that the government have announced? Coleraine and Londonderry in my area should show opportunities to young people to take advantage of the programmes in order to ensure that local employers offer more training and apprenticeship opportunities in the local area.
Minister.
I mean, as I just said, certainly this is about apprenticeships as well as universities, and he should write to me and the Minister for the Cabinet Office about how we can roll this out. Of course, it is a UK-wide programme as well. It will benefit all parts of the United Kingdom, and the Minister for the Cabinet Office met with devolved governments yesterday to discuss this and other matters.
Senator Minister Micwood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In his statement last month, the Paymaster General promised us that he'd secured a great deal for the first year of the Erasmus programme. Now, it's a technique that will be familiar with both mobile phone and satellite TV customers around the country. So, can the Minister tell us what the Paymaster General couldn't in that statement, and tell us what will it cost in the second and subsequent years?
Minister.
It's a one-year agreement, as he knows, and it's a 30% discount that we've negotiated. That is a good deal. It will be reviewed after 10 months, as he knows. But look, at the heart of this is about opportunities for young people from all backgrounds, youth workers, sports professionals, universities, etc. And the Conservative Party really wants to fight the next election, promising to take that away and to narrow opportunities. I'm afraid they're making a big mistake on this, as so much else.
Mike Wood.
Now, I think the Minister's given the game away. He's just said it would be wrong to walk away from that, whereas, of course, he will know, and the whole House knows, that in any negotiation you will only be successful if you know, and more importantly, your negotiating partners know, that you have an alternative to a negotiated agreement. So, can the Minister assure this House that if the European Union is not able to offer similar terms, similar cost for second and subsequent years, that he would be prepared to walk away from those negotiations?
Minister.
I have to say, the cheek of the honourable gentleman to talk about unsuccessful negotiations. I mean, they had years at this, and they left a Brexit deal that narrowed opportunities, harmed our economy, harmed businesses, and made it tougher for young people. We're very confident this is a great deal for the British people. It will be reviewed after 10 months. And as I say, the honourable member wants to put himself in a position of narrowing opportunities for young people. He's making a big mistake.
Question number 3, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to answer questions 3, 6, 12 and 20 together. The Government agreed a new strategic partnership with the EU in May of last year, delivering for UK jobs, easing the burden on bill payers and strengthening our borders. As we are making significant progress, it seems the Conservative Party and Reform would rip it up. But with regard to Reform, given that they've just recruited that well-known Remainer, the Honourable Member for Newark, who knows what their latest position is?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The inflation figures out yesterday show that despite this government's good progress on energy prices, food inflation remains stubbornly high. Even the price of a Tesco meal deal is stuck at £4.25. The government needs to make food and life more affordable. So can the Minister update us on his negotiations over agri-food trade with the EU?
Minister.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, the sanitary and phytosanitary agreement removes export health certificates and routine border checks, slashing costs and red tape for agri-food trade. Businesses will save £200, for example, up to £200 saving per shipment, making trade cheaper and easier. And the party opposite want to put those costs back.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My right honourable friend will know that the UK and EU financial systems are closely linked by cross-border capital flows which support jobs on both sides of the channel. And while regulatory cooperation is beneficiary for financial stability, our ability to also diverge from some of those regulations can also support our competitiveness. So can the Minister set out a bit more about how he's working with the Treasury to ensure that the UK's engagement with the EU on financial issues balances our strategic sovereignty and autonomy with our economic prosperity?
Minister.
That is precisely why, Mr. Speaker, the Government takes a pragmatic approach. We choose to align in areas where it makes sense to do so. Where, of course, it makes sense to diverge, we will also continue to do so. We are always driven by our national interest.
Victoria Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given the strength of power shown by the EU to the US, not only is the strategic importance of the relationship with Europe more important than ever, but this matters to the £90 billion black hole to our economy and families like Hazel from Tring, whose family business of medical devices has been cut by costs and bureaucracy since Brexit. So when will the government finally start taking seriously negotiations of a new EU-UK customs deal?
Well, with regard to the first point, Mr. Speaker, we already agreed the new strategic security and defence partnership in May of last year with the European Union, which is absolutely crucial. But in regard to the point she is making around the food and drink agreement, we agreed just before Christmas that will be completed by the time of the next summit.
Alison Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. A close and strong relationship with our European partners is vital to our interests. Mid-Sussex is home to high-tech life sciences companies like CSL Behring and Roche Diagnostics. The regulatory and trade barriers put up after Brexit have made business harder for them. So, with a mercurial administration in the White House, as evidenced this week, surely it's time for the Minister to get behind Liberal Democrat calls for a bespoke customs union with the EU.
Mr. Speaker, our democratic mandate from the last general election is clear. We will not rejoin the single market. Customs Union will go back to freedom of movement. But what we do, and what I do every single week, is negotiate that closer UK-EU relationship which is in our national interest, and she and her colleagues should support that.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week, the Prime Minister hit the phones again to protect our interests. Meanwhile, the Leader of the Opposition risked undermining these efforts, acting almost like a Trump Trojan horse in this chamber. Diplomacy is paying off, tariff threats are receding, and Greenland solutions may be emerging. Does the Minister agree with me that we must always put country before party, we must work with the UK and our European allies, and that our efforts should command cross-party support?
Yes, my old friend is absolutely right. Yesterday was a moment when the Leader of the Opposition should have risen to the occasion at a profound national moment. She chose not to do so.
Right, Gavin Robinson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And can I firstly thank the Minister for travelling to Belfast later today for the East-West Council. He knows the East-West Council was created to strengthen ties within the United Kingdom, and he knows that one of the impediments to those economic ties is the Windsor Framework. So does he envisage, knowing that there are punitive measures still to be implemented, including customs required on parcels moving from one part of our country to another for ordinary consumers, does he recognise that in building a better relationship with the European Union, it requires more pragmatism when it comes to Northern Ireland?
Yeah, I look forward, Mr. Speaker, to visiting Belfast later today, and he's absolutely right that the East-West Council is a very important part of the safeguarding the union arrangements that we have. With regard to the Windsor Framework, I certainly do take a pragmatic and proportionate approach, and that is one of the reasons why I'm so keen to get the food and drink agreement with the EU implemented as soon as possible, because he knows that will mean that we can reduce the checks, the level of checks that exist on the Irish Sea.
Show Secretary Alex Burkhardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Since the Paymaster General was last in the Commons, the Health Secretary has said Britain should rejoin the Customs Union. The Deputy Prime Minister has said the government should join a Customs Union. 13 Labour MPs have voted with the Liberal Democrats against the party whip in favour of a customs union. 80% of Labour voters at the last election have said they want to rejoin the customs union, and the Business and Trade Secretary has said it would be crazy not to join the customs union. It would seem the only people opposed to the customs union are the Prime Minister and the Paymaster General. The Right Honourable Gentleman will be pleased to hear that in this one regard, I don't think he's crazy at all. I think he's doing the right thing. But please, will he tell the House why he thinks all the other members of the Labour Party are so wrong?
Well, Mr. Speaker, there is a real issue of democracy here in the sense that we won a general election with a mandate to negotiate a closer UK-EU relationship. It is in our national interest to do so, and we set out the red lines within which those negotiations are taking place. But if I am listening here to what the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy is saying, and he's suddenly pivoted to supporting my approach, how welcome that would be.
Alex Burkhardt.
I certainly support him in telling the rest of the Labour Party that they're wrong. And, but you know, given the Labour backbenchers' success in forcing U-turns on the Prime Minister recently, I wonder how long this position will hold. Earlier this month, the Prime Minister said on the BBC that he wants closer alignment with the single market. Now, Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious development for policy for which we've currently had no statement in the Commons, and I hope that that will be addressed very soon. Closer alignment will, of course, mean dynamic alignment, which will mean Britain following rules over which we've had no say. And on this side of the House, we will respectfully oppose such a move. In November, Downing Street sources told journalists that it was accepted that the UK would have to pay billions of pounds for closer alignment and market access. Will the Paymaster General confirm that that is his understanding to this House?
Minister.
Just to say quite clearly, Mr Speaker, there are no access fees either in regard to the admissions trading system linkage nor in regard to the food and drink agreement that are being negotiated. That is absolutely clear. In terms of moving forward, we take pragmatic decisions in the national interest on other sectors. That is why, openly before Christmas, we open negotiations on electricity trading. And I think what the Right Honourable Gentleman has done is really crystallised the choice that there is going to be at the next general election. This government is actually negotiating a deal that will bear down on food and energy bills, that will give law enforcement more tools to keep our country safe. Those are things that this will do. It will also create jobs. The party opposite, for ideological reasons, is setting its face against those things. I would welcome that debate with them.
Lisa Smart, Liberal Democrats first.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr Speaker. We expect an EU reset bill in the coming months to update the arrangements around our relationship with our European neighbours, following the terrible Brexit deal delivered by the Conservatives and cheered on by the member for Clacton, which trashed our economy and our international standing. This reset is absolutely essential and we welcome it. Does the Minister agree that Parliament should have the ability to fully scrutinise this legislation to ensure that government delivers the change we need and can hold ministers' feet to the fire, setting up new structures or committees as needed? And to that end, will he assure the House that the bill we expect will contain enough detail to allow meaningful democratic accountability rather than kicking the specifics into secondary legislation?
Well, on the basis of my exchange with the Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy, I thoroughly look forward to bringing the bill forward to the Commons and debating it very, very fully. And I can assure the Honourable Lady that what we will be debating here is why the government's approach is good for jobs, why it is the government's approach will be bearing down on bills for consumers. And don't just believe what I say, see what the supermarket said about the deal that was struck last year. I will also welcome debating how we are going to reduce trade barriers and going to reduce costs for businesses. It's the party opposite that wants to put that red tape and those costs back on businesses. Good luck to them with that argument.
Susan Merry. Oh, sorry.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. Yesterday, the Trade Secretary was the latest senior government figure to break ranks by saying it would be crazy not to look at a customs union with the EU. This is a position already supported by the Prime Minister's economic adviser, the Deputy Prime Minister and the Health Secretary. Since leaving the EU, many businesses, including in my own Hazel Grove constituency, have found it harder to trade with our neighbours, having an obvious impact on the economy. The government has changed their minds on many things since the time of the last election, having said they definitely weren't going to. So does the Minister accept that it would save us all a lot of time? It'd be the single biggest lever the government could pull to generate growth and give those on his own benches something they're crying out for if he just agrees to crack on and start negotiations for a bespoke customs union with the EU.
No, Mr Speaker. And could I just say in relation to this, it is not as she has described. And the work that this government is doing, building that closer EU-UK relationship, is absolutely crucial. And we can do it alongside trade deal with India, an economic deal with the United States that is saving jobs at Jaguar Land Rover. The government's position is in the national interest. We will continue to pursue it.
Susan Murray.
Question 4, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
With permission, Mr Speaker, I'd like to answer question 4, 7 and 18 together. A new digital ID is a vital part of the infrastructure that the UK needs to transform public services and accelerate digital government. As my right honourable friend, the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, said this week, our goal is simple: to make government work better for people, joining up public services so people don't have to fight to get the support that they need. It will be inclusive, secure and useful, giving people more control over their data and public services than they have now.
Susan Murray.
Mr Speaker, I welcome the government's U-turn on digital identity cards, but they must go further. We're now looking at a largely redundant system expected to cost nearly £2 billion. Will the Minister therefore explain why this is the best use of public money and whether they agree with me that these resources would be better directed to tackling organised crime rather than building a system that primarily monitors compliant citizens?
Minister.
The reason for building a digital ID system, it is the infrastructure that we need for the foundation of the British state and better public services in years to come. I am proud that we as a government are investing the time and resources to make sure that we improve government, to make it work better for people, to make sure it is easier to access public services, so that we do the hard work that government should do rather than expecting people to do it for them. And I hope that honourable members opposite will come to see the force of that argument for their constituents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. At the beginning of the year, I made a visit to Estonia to see how their digital ID system works, where 100% of public services are now delivered via their digital ID system safely, securely, and as the Minister said, with better access for citizens over control of their data, who sees what, when and where, and indeed who buy. Indeed, it also saved them about 2% of GDP, which has allowed them to re-energise their system and continue to evolve for the future. Can the Minister please reassure me that despite the news last week, we will be continuing to press forward strongly with a digital ID system in the UK and showing the people of the UK that it can be beneficial to their lives and make things much better for them?
Minister.
Absolutely. By the end of this Parliament, every UK citizen who wants a digital ID will be able to get one free of charge. To deliver this, we will launch a huge digital inclusion drive across the UK, and I look forward to working with honourable members across the House on this, including the honourable member for Dunfermline and Dollar. I should also say that, like Estonia, we will build the UK system to earn citizens' trust, adhering to principles of data minimisation, decentralisation with strong safeguards in place, and we will consult imminently on how best to design this system.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Mr Deputy Speaker, I chaired the Public Accounts Committee. Mr Speaker, forgive me. Sorry, apologies, Mr Speaker. I haven't just voted. Mr Speaker, I had the privilege of chairing the Public Accounts Committee for nearly a decade, and in that role I saw the challenges of how poor data is often across government. In one hearing we learnt that government departments have 13 different ways of recording an individual's address, for example. There are many other issues around data. Is the Minister alert to these issues, and how is he going to tackle that to make sure that this system is watertight?
Minister.
Well, my honourable friend has deep experience of these challenges, and she's absolutely right. The reason digital ID is so vital to the future of our public services and government is all about data. And this will become ever more important in the future age of AI. When I worked in AI, we had a saying, garbage in, garbage out. Bad data management produces bad public services, and that's why my colleagues in the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology have a massive programme across government to upgrade and secure data for the benefit of ordinary citizens.
Andrew Snow.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. With the 100 in, 1 out deportation scheme having the same impact as one of the many resets the Prime Minister has, compulsory digital ID was billed as the next magical answer to illegal migration. Now that's been U-turned on. What's Plan C?
Minister.
It hasn't. The digital ID, digitising right-to-work checks is a vital part of how we toughen up our illegal labour market enforcement regime. It will mean that this government is cracking down on illegal working, reducing the pull factors and delivering on one of this government's key commitments, which is to crack down on illegal migration.
In Labour.
Question number 5, sir.
Minister.
The Prime Minister giving the independent ethics advisor independence to initiate his own investigations is just one of the measures this government has taken to improve transparency and standards. The high standard, the standards the Prime Minister expects of all of us who have the privilege of serving in high office, is set out in the Ministerial Code.
In Labour.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. With public trust in politics at an all-time low, I'm grateful that the government are implementing the Hillsborough Law, and clearly the duty of candour should be extended to all public servants. Truth to power is central to our democracy, to global democracy. Does my honourable friend agree with me that when the so-called leader of the free world regularly stands up in public every opportunity he gets and lies with impunity
about our great country and our allies, there isn't any law, there isn't any legislation which will ever restore public trust.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, with regard to the first point, I met the families of the victims of the Manchester Arena bombings, indeed the Hillsborough families, only last week. It is absolutely critical that we get it right, that balance between the essential work of secrecy our intelligence services need to do and proper oversight, and that's exactly the work the government will engage in. With regard to the wider point, the Prime Minister made absolutely clear yesterday that he would not yield on the question of Greenland sovereignty. And whilst I was proud to see our Prime Minister taking that position, what a shame it was the Leader of the Opposition couldn't rise to the moment too.
Brendan O'Hara.
Mr Speaker, in the interest of improving government transparency, will his department now publish the details of how his government reached the decision which allowed Lord Mandelson, the man who described the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein as his best pal, and who then urged him to fight for his early release following his conviction, not just to retain his place in the House of Lords, but keep the Labour whip and also his Labour Party membership card?
Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, the Prime Minister made his position clear with regard to Lord Mandelson's position when that additional information came to light. But with regard to the House of Lords, Lord Mandelson is currently on a leave of absence from the House of Lords. The revocation of a title requires a bespoke piece of primary legislation and is separate from the rules related to suspension and expulsion. Frankly, there is no formal alternative mechanism for a title to be revoked.
Nick Smith.
Number 8, please, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, the Government is absolutely committed to using all available tools to disrupt cyber threats and to keep the public safe. Our new National Cyber Action Plan will address the evolving cyber threat and technological opportunities. We're also working with partners across government and law enforcement to deliver real-world impact against cyber criminals. Through the Crime and Policing Bill, we will introduce measures to empower police to suspend IP addresses and domains being used for serious criminality.
Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, can I thank the Minister for his answer? There's been a tendency to offshore much cyber support, but we're producing excellent cyber security talent at Ebervale College to protect our digital infrastructure. So will the Minister please outline what's being done to develop our homegrown workforce and security resilience to help reduce the risks from cyber attacks in the future?
Well, Mr Speaker, the honourable gentleman is right, and I'm very interested to hear about the course at his local college. Skills are the foundation of the UK's cyber security, and the Government is investing £187 million into the Tech First programme. This initiative will bring digital skills and AI learning into classrooms and communities and aims to reach 1 million students by 2026 and provide 1,000 annual scholarships. These skill projects will help bridge the gap in our cyber resilience.
Jim Shannon.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I thank the Minister always for his answers? They're always very helpful. Cyber crime and fraud are now the most common crime in the UK, accounting for some 50% of all offences and costing the economy billions of pounds per year. So will the Minister discuss, please, with Cabinet colleagues, additional funding to ensure that our universities and our colleges can provide high-level training in cyber security to ensure, if you don't mind me saying, that Belfast's title of the cyber security capital is retained? Thank you.
Minister.
Well, I'm very grateful, Mr Speaker, to him, as I always am, for the important points that he raises, and I think he knows how seriously we take these issues. He's right to raise the point about skills and education. Let me just say very briefly how seriously we take these matters. We're doing a lot of work to support the victims of cybercrime. We're providing free guidance, tools and incident response advice through the NCSC, alongside targeted awareness campaigns. I give an assurance of the seriousness with which we take these matters.
Graham Becker.
Question number 9, Mr Speaker.
Minister.
The Government is committed to delivering the largest wave of insourcing in a generation. As part of that, we have consulted on plans to introduce a public interest test before any further services are outsourced. We will publish results soon. But let me be clear, this Government will end the decade-long drive to outsource our public services, and we will do so to deliver better value for money for taxpayers and better services.
Graham Becker.
Mr Speaker, the Minister repeated the promise that was made nearly 18 months ago when the Labour Party came into power.
We're not seeing a massive amount of insourcing at the moment. I have constituents in Moray West and Strathspey who work on 3 different military bases who are contractors, and many of whom used to be civil servants and have lost considerable pension benefits as a result of that outsourcing. There are many others in DWP offices, in the Cabinet Office itself and in other government offices throughout the country. When can those workers expect to see some fairness in their contractual arrangements?
Minister.
Can I thank you for that question? I know he's raised this point previously about workers in his constituency. So we are making progress. The Employment Rights Act, which comes in, will make some progress in this, particularly around the 2-tier code and reinstating that. We have consulted on measures on a public interest test. I will bring forward our conclusions and proposals on that very soon. But as I say, the central point of this government is we will reverse the decade-long drive to outsource, and we will bring more powers, resources in-house to deliver better value for taxpayers.
Snell.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. When the government does finally bring these insourcing process to its fruition, there will be lots more purchasing power for the government in terms of the services that it buys and the goods that it procures. So can the Minister give a categorical assurance to this House that every penny of British taxpayers' money with these new powers will be spent with British companies and British industries so that we are supporting our own British economy?
Can I thank him for that? And look, that is one of the goals this government has, and I think it was Prime Minister Carney said that he thought Canada should be Canada's best customer. I think Britain should be Britain's best customer. And that we... Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And that we should work towards that. As I say, we will publish them these proposals very soon, and I hope we can make progress very quickly.
Martin Wrigley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've been trying to get records of a meeting held between Peter Teale of Palantir, Boris Johnson, the then Prime Minister, and Dominic Cummings on August 28th of 2019 from the Cabinet Office. I'm getting conflicting data back from the Cabinet Office. Is it in the public interest that this is being outsourced, management of this information, to Palantir?
Minister.
Can I thank you for that? My understanding is that has been dealt with by way of a written question that we've already replied to and put it in the public domain.
Under Bagdon.
Mr. Speaker, the Minister will be aware that too many retired civil servants are waiting too long to be paid their pension and lump sums. 70,000 are still caught up, waiting for past discrimination to be addressed under the MacLeod remedy, and there are already concerns about Capita's management very early in its new contract period. So does the Minister share my concern that this is completely unacceptable, that urgent action as called for by the PCS trade union is urgently required, and can he provide the House with a full statement on Capita's performance administering the civil service pension scheme at the earliest opportunity?
Can I thank you for that question? And I know this has affected a lot of constituents and a lot of former civil servants. I've had lots of letters on it. I'm sure everyone else has as well. The Minister for the Cabinet Office met with PCS about this recently. He's met with, I believe, also the Chief Executive of Capita. We are committed to holding them to account. We will do so. And if it's okay with you, the Minister for the Cabinet Office will write back to you with a fuller statement.
Christian Osborne.
Question number 10, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this government is putting power, opportunity and resources in the hands of local communities and local businesses. Just last week, this House approved measures to reserve around £1 billion a year of contracts for local businesses in the UK. That will make a big difference to businesses in my constituency and his. And we are consulting, as I say, on further steps, and we'll bring them forward soon.
Thank you very much, and can I thank the Minister for that answer. Under the last government, under austerity, social enterprises were decimated by cuts to their budgets. We have many good social enterprises such as MCH, Emmaus and Medway Voluntary MVA in my constituency. What more can be done to support social enterprises after 14 years of austerity?
Minister.
Can I thank him for that? And look, I agree, social enterprises are the backbone of many communities. I pay tribute to the one he raises. I know there are some in my constituency as well. And look, I agree we do need to do more to open up procurement and support social enterprises and wider SMEs and voluntary sector. We did publish a procurement statement on it last year to try and help address that. But we are going to go further, and we will go further on it very soon.
Josh Buckland.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. East Sussex County Council has launched a scheme to fine East Sussex highways where its roadworks overrun and cause disruption to local businesses. A clear case is that of Victoria Place, where businesses like Gianni's, Quality, Great and many more were disrupted by overrunning works for the pedestrianisation of that street. Does the Minister agree that fund should be used to help compensate those businesses for the disruption? And can the Cabinet Office support East Sussex County Council to do just that?
Minister.
Well, as my constituency cuts in, half of it is in East Sussex, so I'm always happy to support East Sussex County Council. I think we're slightly off beam with the broad thrust of the topic, but I get his point about the frustration constituents, including mine, have with overrunning works. We'll follow up with him if there's anything further the Cabinet Office can do on that.
Jeff Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Question 11.
Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, the consultation on the compensation scheme closes today. I'm grateful to all who've shared their views. The Government will consider it carefully and respond within 12 weeks. I should also say I'm pleased to tell the House that, as promised, the first payments to affected people were made by the end of 2025, and as of the 13th of January, the Infected Blood Compensation Authority has made over £2.4 billion in compensation offers.
Jeff Smith.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I have a number of constituents affected by the infected blood scandal, and justice for them and for the other victims is long overdue, so I'm pleased that the Government is making progress on this issue. In relation to the estates of the people who've sadly passed away, can I ask how many of the interim £100,000 payments have been made to date?
Mr Speaker, I'm more than happy to write to him with a very up-to-date, precise figure on that point about interim payments, but I should also say as well that, as was raised in the House to me on a number of occasions in the autumn, there was also the issue of inheritance tax. Now, inheritance tax actually bit on secondary beneficiaries. That was an issue I was pleased this Government dealt with at the budget.
Lord Session-Woman.
Question number 13, Mr Speaker.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm here to earn my salary. I thank my honourable friend for her question. The Government will be taking a digital-first approach to modernising public services. On Tuesday, I highlighted how we are expanding the No. 10 Innovation Fellows programme to bring in more specialist digital skills into government. From justice to health, they'll be working on building in-house digital solutions to create more efficient and value-for-money public services.
Lord Session-Woman.
I thank the Minister for making sure he's earning his keep. And it's really important. I welcome the written statement from the other Minister on the plan to boost AI to use productivity in public services. It's right, we look at all avenues. But one area I'm concerned about is the gender and racial bias that many studies have shown in AI, particularly when you look at health outcomes. The Minister may be aware of a King's College study looking at heart scans, and a study showing racial bias on the AIs on the heart scans. And we know the data shows that BME people have worse health outcomes. But actually, we want them to engage in these programmes so that we can make sure they're not left behind. What steps is the Minister using to help identify and, most importantly, resolve some of these biases so we make sure that our public services and AI are working step in step to make sure no community is left behind?
Secretary.
Can I thank my honourable friend for raising that extremely important question. These AI solutions are only as good as the way in which they serve the public fairly and with a quality built in at the start. That's why the AI Safety Institute and officials at the Department for Science, Innovation and Technology work across government to make sure that those values and ethics are built into programmes as they're being built by the government.
Carlisle.
Question number 14, please.
Minister.
Mr Speaker, the Government's Prepare website provides emergency preparedness advice to the public, including information about signing up for emergency alerts and warnings and preparing their homes for emergencies. By using this advice, like the downloadable household emergency plan, people can improve their emergency preparedness regardless of the cause.
I thank the Minister for his answer. As he will know, a recent gas outage in my constituency led to thousands of people without power, many for several days, and Cornwall has recently seen huge disruption from Storm Goretti. And these incidents highlight how vulnerable households can be when essential services are disrupted. Now, given impending climate breakdown and the increasingly uncertain geopolitical environment in which we now find ourselves, would the Minister outline whether the Government is considering any kind of personalised nationwide information campaign to help people prepare for such a crisis? Not everyone is going to look at the gov.uk website, and the Dutch Government has recently done this by sending a 33-page booklet on emergency preparedness to every home in the country so people will know what they need to do in a crisis.
Minister.
Well, I'm grateful for the points that she raised, and we do look very carefully at what international allies are saying about these matters. I am concerned to hear about the situation in her constituency. I can say to her that DESNES works closely with industry, regulators and other stakeholders to improve and maintain the resilience and security of energy infrastructure. When incidents do occur, as they have in her constituency, even exceptionally disruptive ones, industry do have tried and tested response plans to minimise disruption to customers as quickly as possible. That said, I am keen to further increase our resilience. If the Honourable Lady would like to write me, I'll look very closely at what she has to say.
Daniel Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The advice from the previous government was that households should stockpile 3 days' worth of non-perishable food and water. And this week, the Guardian newspaper has reported that other European countries are looking at creating strategic food reserves. Could the Minister tell us a little bit more about what his thinking is on these issues?
Well, Mr. Speaker, I could, and I welcome the honourable member's interest and expertise in this area. The government's Prepare website includes a suggested list of supplies to improve household resilience, including non-perishable food. I do take a close interest in the messaging of our partners in Europe in this area, and I know that the government is committed to ensuring that the whole of society, particularly the most vulnerable, are best prepared for and supported during crisis.
Right, we go to topical. Sarah Olney.
Question number 1, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This week I gave a speech recognising the public's frustration with our public services. I did, though, reject the offer of the Conservative benches, Mr. Speaker, that of continued cuts and continued decline, and I equally rejected the offer of the populist parties who just want to tear it all down and leave you on your own. In place, Labour will build public services anew, so that services in the future will feel more like when you are doing your online banking or online shopping, and that public services are there when you need them the most. I have also tabled a written ministerial statement, Mr. Speaker, about other changes in how we perform our duties in government, including new task forces, the expansion of the Innovation Fellow Scheme, the new National School of Government and Public Services, and reforms to the recruitment criteria, bonuses and performance management of the senior civil service, all of which is spelt out in the written ministerial statement, and I'm happy to answer any further questions today.
Sarah Olney.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In relation to that speech where the Secretary of State for the Cabinet Office set out his plan for the future of the civil service, in which he envisioned further sackings and a digital transformation, last week we saw the untested and potentially dangerous nature of artificial intelligence as the Chief Constable of West Midlands Police admitted his force had used AI to come to their verdict that Maccabi Tel Aviv should be banned from attending their European game away to Aston Villa. As governmental departments are already using AI to make critical and life-changing decisions, can the Minister clarify whether he plans to replace diligent civil servants with artificial intelligence?
I thank the Honourable Lady for her question. In the first instance, I'm trying to create some computers that work. Before we even get to artificial intelligence, Mr. Speaker, we need to build some pretty basic services that the public are used to using in the private sector, that because of 14 years of austerities from the members opposite, have not been the case in public services.
Alison.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In Scarborough, British electric bus manufacturer Alexander Dennis employs more than 700 people and is vital to our local economy. Tax-funded bus procurement should support UK industry rather than fund international competitors. However, with the social value requirement in public procurement set at only 10% and price still weighted at 70%, social value has little to no real impact. Will the Minister look at increasing the social value requirement in public procurement to support our great British...
A very important question, fully supported, but we've got to just sharpen them up to get others in. This will be a good example of a reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My honourable friend raises a really important issue that I know affects her constituency. As I said earlier, we need to do more to support great British businesses like Dennis. We are looking at reforming social value. We've done it as part of the consultation. I think it needs to go further and to be meaningful social value that really helps local communities.
Secretary Alex Burkhardt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. At the risk of overworking the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, I'd like to ask him a question directly. It's a boring question, but it's an important one. my last boring question was to the Paymaster General. The opposition has found that his department is often refusing to release information to honourable members through parliamentary questions, only then to release the information through freedom of information requests. Does he agree that, in principle, that's wrong?
Secretary.
I do, and I'm happy to take a look at it.
Alex Burkle.
I'm very grateful to him for that reply. I really appreciate it. In his role as the Chief of Staff to the Prime Minister, will he please, in his role as Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, will he please write to all other government departments to make sure that the good example that will now be set by the Cabinet Office is set by other government departments?
Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, you will know that I take accountability to Parliament very seriously, as does the whole government, and as I said in my first answer, I'm happy to take a look at it.
Douglas McAllister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The SNP government dropped the ball on an £11 million investment led by Rolls-Royce to build a specialist welding centre on the Clyde, a vital opportunity to support the Royal Navy, and it's only thanks to this Labour government providing £2.5 million of support to the programme that it's going ahead. Does the Chief Secretary agree with me that at the time of rising global uncertainty, my constituents deserve better than the flaky student union politics of the SNP government?
I couldn't agree more, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank my honourable friend for making such an important case for his constituency, as he did do yesterday at Prime Minister's questions, whether it's on defence, on nuclear energy, or indeed on fixing public services. The SNP have failed Scotland for far too long, and only with Anna Sawar as the leader of the Scottish Government from May will things start to get better.
Alison Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I push for a clearer answer, please, to the question put by my honourable friend, the member for Hazel Grove? Will the Cabinet Office set up a European Relations Select Committee?
That's a matter for Parliament, not for government. I mean, there certainly is a European Union Relations Secretariat in the Cabinet Office with some absolutely excellent civil servants, and I'm very proud to work with them leading the negotiations, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It was great to be at What Three Words HQ for my right honourable friend's speech about moving fast and fixing things. 3 words to describe the last government were total, utter shambles. So does my right honourable friend agree we've got to not only deliver public services in terms of value for money, but also quickly with Labour values at the very heart of them?
I couldn't agree more, Mr. Speaker, and maybe with those What Three Words, more Tory MPs can find their way to the benches next time.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week, the government briefing suggested that the security services were, and I quote, relaxed about the proposed Chinese mega-embassy. Yet this week, we've learned that MI5 has been asked to reroute sensitive financial cables because of it. So can the Security Minister explain how both these statements can be true and tell the House which reflects the government's assessment of the security risk and threat from that embassy?
Well, as I made clear in a lengthy and detailed statement to Parliament earlier this week, we're clearly not going to get into the technical detail of the mitigations, but I was reassured to see the letter from the Director General of MI5 and GCHQ, where they pointed out that there are clear security advantages as a consequence of this proposal. I also sought to make the point that we have agreed with the Chinese government that there will be a reduction in their current diplomatic footprint from 7 sites down to 1.
Peter Swallow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. While opposition parties fight over who can promise the biggest cuts to our vital public services, Labour believes in an active state working alongside British businesses to drive growth. Does my honourable friend agree we can do more to ensure British companies are prioritised in procurement?
I absolutely do, and as I said previously, Britain should become Britain's biggest customer. We have a £400 billion a year procurement budget. In my opinion, we do not use that well enough to support British companies, and I'm working with the Chancellor and colleagues across government to make sure we do in future.
Harriet Cross.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last year, the government sold out British fishermen in their UK-EU trade deal, giving away 12 years of access to our fishing waters. We have seen the form that the government have of using our fishermen as pawns in negotiations. So can the Cabinet Office, any of them, please confirm that in any trade negotiation or SPS agreement, there will be no part of our fishing industry returned to the common fisheries policy?
Absolutely not returned to the common fisheries policy, and I have to say that the Honourable Lady is completely wrong in what she just said. The medium-term stability we've delivered for our fishing industry will mean, first of all, £360 million worth of investment to upgrade our fleet and for coastal communities. If she opposes that money going into our fishing communities, she should say. Secondly...
Order. Yeah, thank you. Got there, don't worry, Jim Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Residents in Dartford regularly tell me that they want to see every pound of public spending used to best effect. So can the Minister update me on what progress is being made on cracking down on fraudsters and making sure that the UK taxpayer gets back the money that they are owed?
Minister.
As in so many things, the last government gave up and accepted fraud as inevitable and stopped tackling it properly. This government, by contrast, is delivering the most significant package of measures to tackle fraud and error in recent history. The Office for Budget Responsibility forecasts these measures to deliver £14.6 billion of savings by 2030.
Sir Alex Shelby.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. May I ask the Minister, will you give an update to the delays to the pension payments of civil servants who have left employment under the voluntary exit scheme? I've had a number of constituents complaining that they've been left without any income due to the delay by the pension administrator Capita. So can I ask, will he take personal control of the situation, and will he update the House at some point on contingencies and a new escalation process for people who are affected?
Yeah, I mean, the Honourable Gentleman raises a really important issue. On the specific points he raises, if he writes me, I'm happy to look at it. But I've seen the Chief Executive of Capita. I've made clear the standards I expect, and Capita should be in no doubt of the contractual tools available to me that I will actually employ to drive performance.
Jenny Riddle-Carpenter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As chair of the Labour Rural Research Group, I hear continually about the challenges facing rural communities, access to education, transport, infrastructure, etc. Can the Minister set out what specific steps the Cabinet Office is taking to ensure that rural voices and rural communities are meaningfully represented throughout government decision-making?
Hear, hear.
Can I thank my honourable friend for the great work that she does in Parliament and within the Labour Party as a leading voice for the rural communities across our country. In terms of government action, I'll point her to the Rural Task Force, which is a cross-departmental grouping looking at how policies taken across government can have a particular positive impact in rural communities, whilst also recognising the unique risks that we want to help to mitigate.
Charlie Dewhurst.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, the Paymaster General has told the House on more than one occasion this morning just how wonderful his new EU deal is going to be for British food and drink manufacturers. So why is he refusing to appear in front of the Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Select Committee to discuss the matter in more detail?
Well, to be frank, Mr. Speaker, when we have final negotiation and legal text, I will, of course, be willing to appear before the Select Committee at an appropriate moment. I think if you look at the number of Select Committees I appear before, both here in the Lords, it's a very high number.
Yeah. Ewan Steinbach.
Speaker, the 10-year bus pipeline is still to be published, and a report in the media regarding the investigation by the NCSC and DFT into kill switches suggests 700+ Chinese buses on British roads have remote disabling technology. Can the Minister confirm if the Government are delaying publication of the 10-year bus pipeline until the report into Chinese kill switches is concluded?
Secretary.
I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman. I believe he's had a meeting with the Minister from DFT to discuss these matters, but I'd be very happy to discuss it with him further.
David Mundell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Assisted Dying for Terminally Ill Adults Scotland Bill is still under consideration in the Scottish Parliament and has not been passed, contrary to the views of a number of members of this House. This week, a number of measures had to be removed from the bill because they were not compliant with the powers of the Scottish Parliament. But Scottish ministers suggested that they were in an ongoing discussion with the UK Government about a future Section 104 order. So are ministers able to update the House on current discussions with the Scottish Government? And do they agree with me that ultimately...
Go, come on, Minister.
The Government takes a neutral position, as the honourable gentleman knows, in relation to this bill. It's also important, both recently and indeed going forward, that we work sensitively with all the devolved administrations as well.
Steve Race.
On Tuesday, the Chief Secretary set out plans to promote the doers across civil service, establishing the new National School of Government and Public Services. Can you tell the House what steps he plans to ensure that Whitehall is focused on delivering services that actually work really well for my residents in Exeter?
I thank my honourable friend for his question. My assessment is that government conflates policy and delivery. That's why we're going to be promoting people from the front line into the more senior levels of the senior civil service to make sure that we understand the customer experience and how citizens expect their services to work more than has been the case in the past.
Andrew Snowden.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Earlier I questioned the Minister around the U-turn on compulsory digital IDs, and much to our confusion, the Minister said there has been no U-turn. So maybe the Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster could clear this up. Is digital ID going to be compulsory, yes or no?
Secretary.
There has been no U-turn, but if the member would like me to... the member's asked the same question twice, Mr. Speaker, and he's had the same answer. But if you'd like me to, I'd write it to him in plain English, and he can read it a third time as well.
Amanda High.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. North West Leicestershire is home to East Midlands Airport, which carries the highest volume of small parcel air freight in the UK. In light of the new trading agreements with the EU, can the Minister update me on how we will ensure small businesses can make the most of these additional trading benefits for current and future agreements?
Yes, the deal we struck at the UK-EU summit will cut costs and red tape for businesses who import and export to the EU. This government is committed to removing barriers to trade. It's a shame the party opposite are not.
Amanda Martin.
Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Chief Secretary for meeting me to discuss the £20 million Pride in Place money awarded to Portsmouth. But, Mr. Speaker, in order to boost and expand these funds in my city and make investment lasting, can the Chief Secretary tell me and my constituents more about his work through the new Office for the Impact Economy regards collaborating with social investors and philanthropists so we can boost funding and create much-needed change in local communities?
Can I thank my friend for her question and the brilliant work she's doing in her constituency with this historic money for Pride in Place, where local people get to decide how to spend money on their own communities. As she's alluded to, the Office for the Impact Economy will be working with social investors, philanthropists and other organisations to match up funding to be able to increase that money even further to have a longer lasting impact for their local communities.
Matt Robert.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Could I thank the Government for its work on cutting the cost of living crisis? And could the Minister address this issue and how the Cabinet Office is supporting other government departments to continue this work?
Secretary.
I thank my honourable friend. As part of the Growth and Living Standards Cabinet Committee, the Cabinet Office coordinates ministers from across government to make sure that we are working as hard as possible to get inflation down, costs down, and make a real difference to living standards to the public across the country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With Boots stores at Castle Point, Southbourne Grove and Boscombe High Street in my constituency, I met Boots in Parliament to hear about what they're doing to tackle shoplifting. In London, they're working with the Metropolitan Police, where the police plug into Boots' own reporting system to avoid the need for duplicate reporting, and I'm calling for the same to come to Bournemouth. But plugging all businesses into all police forces will take a lot of work. Would the government consider a national police app, which is opt-in, like the National Health Service app, where people don't have to go through the faff of reporting their demographic information and they can just get on with reporting crime faster? It would help Carl, the store manager of Aldi and Boscombe, a lot.
It's a very good idea, Mr. Speaker, and I've had similar issues in my own constituency. I'll make sure that the idea is passed on to the Home Secretary as part of police reforms that will be coming to the House shortly.
Let the front bench change over.